What's up, everybody? Time for another live with my boy Terrance. So let's see if we can send him the invite. And now we wait. So thanks for joining. Just waiting on my boy Terrance, and then we'll get this thing started. What is up, sir? The ice cream plug. Hang on. I'll send you another invite. There we go.
Oh, man.
What's going on, dude?
It's been a while.
Yeah, for real. What you been up to?
Everything.
Everything, I
man.
feel you.
I try to stay busy.
Yeah, same, but it's catching up to me, bro. Definitely.
We can talk about it here. This is a safe space.
Yeah, man. So currently I'm trying to promote the business on social media, doing all that stuff. I'm trying to finish up another instrumental album so I could use that stuff for future videos. I'm making video content every week, planning the deadlift competition, and then honestly, the thing that's killing me most is my own training.
Yep.
Because I'm starting like a peaking block this week. So it's like Monday, squatting heavy, benching heavy. Like I worked up to like a 325 triple on bench, and then Tuesday I had to hit 325 for a single. And like moving that much weight, like it fries you.
Yeah, especially with you using your brain so much with this, like, trying to build the business thing.
Yeah, so.
You don't realize how much brain work goes into that, and it just tires out your whole nervous system.
Yeah. I can't complain because it's like, you know, like I'm living the dream, but I haven't been this tired in a while, for sure.
So, how you been bouncing it all?
I try to give like designated days. So, Monday and Tuesdays strictly work, and then my Wednesdays is when my schedule's lighter, and it's also my rest day. So that's when I typically focus on like the video content for stuff, like filming things. The only part is I've been getting kind of lazy lately because I'm like, okay, what video can I make that requires the least amount of movement or the least amount of position? So like, bro, like last week I was like, my boy came over. I'm like, listen, I'm tired. We're doing a TRX video because I'm not about to lift anything right now. So that's how
that's what you have clients for, man. You make them lift it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and then Thursday, Friday, same thing, work days. And then the weekend is usually when I chill, like rejuvenate, spend time with the lady, do this and that. But I'm also trying to get more, like I'm trying to get long sleeve designed, and that seems to be the only time I can do it. So it's like they always say, it's not a 9 to 5, it's a 5 to 9. So.
Or a 24-hour, however you want to look at it. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, we have a lot to talk about, man. We have a lot to talk about off camera. This is good.
For sure.
This is all good stuff, man. I love to hear it. And even from like the last time that I seen you when we did like the squat competition, just watching you off of Instagram, so much has changed since then. And that's only been what, a couple months?
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. Like,
yeah,
you really found your groove, and you just put your foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I try to, because it's like, I'm sure you're the same way, but I'm the kind of person where I know what I want and I want to get after it. You know what I mean? Like I'm all for it. So it was kind of scary because it was like around Christmas time, cases spiked, And then between the holidays and then the spike in whatever like COVID cases, I lost like half my clients, dude. I saw like one or two people a day. It was very scary. So, and then the inflow didn't happen like right as January hit because people were still getting over it. It wasn't until like late January or like early February that things really started to pick up. So,
Now,
I,
did you get a lot of those people back, or how'd that situation play out?
yeah, for the most part, a lot of people came back. I got a couple of new people, but then there's always the one or two that are like, "Oh yeah, I'll be back in like a week or two," and then they never just hit you up. So, but all of it's just the nature of the business. So
it is the nature of the business, and then you start to learn like the more you're in it, you start to see when your busy times are,
yeah,
or busy seasons, I should say. But being like, I think the bigger gyms experience that a little more than we do. Like we'll still feel it, but not as the same. You know, our thing is more so. This is vacation season for a lot of people, so people,
right.
you know what I mean, or it's this time of the year, so people get a little less motivated, so their frequency isn't as high, or their motivation isn't as high. So it's like those are the type of things to experience. But I never really had too much of like the New Year wave that like most commercial gyms. I've actually never worked in a commercial gym in my entire life.
Nice. Sounds like you're doing it right.
Well, my start was pretty unique.
Yeah.
My start was pretty unique. I'll just get into it now. But so originally when I got out of school, I didn't go to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to work. Yachty's in the chat now. I almost worked with Yachty at the Dollar Tree when I graduated from high school. So he almost set me up. And then right when I was about to go for that interview, I got a call from like a security job. So I was doing security probably for like close to 2 years. And what happened is I got laid off on my vacation. I was literally off vacation. And then they were like, all right, well, we lost the site, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they were trying to send me somewhere else that was further and pay me less. And that just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
So I was on unemployment for a little while. And at the gym that I was training at, that's for me and Dre at Apollon. We were training there for a long time. That's over there in Edison. And the owner, I remember asking him a couple months back if he had a job. I was just, wanting to see if I could, just get in with the gym a little bit or something. He said no. Sad story, which ended up being a blessing in disguise in a way. The person that was working at the gym actually had gotten in a really bad motorcycle accident, like the same week that I got laid off from my job. So they were looking for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a job in there, and I was bouncing out with like a warehouse job for a little while. So I just kind of started in like a hardcore gym there, and I was just working behind the counter, cash registers, making shakes, shit like that. Then I was talking into being a coach. Now, it's something I always entertained. Like even when I was in high school, I used to like train some of my football buddies, or like in the gym room, it was like I'll be in the back, like just running like little sessions together, training with people. I remember seeing like the gym instructor like stealing the shit that I was doing it in class. Like I was like, I couldn't believe this. It was like a freaking 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, and he's, oh, you can't do that. And I'm looking at him in next class like stealing the shit that I was doing. I'm like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I always had the bug that I wanted to do it, but it was that moment where it was just kind of like a make or break for me type of thing. So it was just like I was just kind of thrown into it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm about 8 years in, and I don't regret any little journey that I had leading to this point. Like now, honestly, like the last 2 years, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
But I just went through so much groundwork to get like to this point of even like getting into entrepreneurship is something that I just kind of like walked into. Didn't plan for it, didn't tell myself I'm going to be this business owner, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, I just kind of landed it because my situation at the gym in Apollon was, even though it looked like I was an employee through the gym, I was really just an independent contractor. I didn't even know what that term was until I was like there, So I was like, I worked under them through the gym, but for my training, it was just like independent contractor. You have the playing field here. you have the gym's name here. Just do whatever the fuck you want, pretty much. And then I just had to learn everything on my own just as I started. So
Yeah.
pretty unique start. It was like I started that way, and then I decided to go to school. It wasn't like I went to school first. It was like I was already in the field,
Yeah.
training people, having conversations face to face, doing PT, blah blah blah. But I felt like I was getting into like a rut where you just get into that, like it was like a hamster wheel, and I felt like I needed like a change.
Yeah.
And like a new environment and stuff like that. So that's when I was like, you know, maybe I should go to college and, you know, get around other like-minded individuals and just kind of see how that was. And that started becoming a big turning point on where my career started to shift.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Two things I find really interesting. One of my boys is kind of going through something similar, right? So he's been a personal trainer for a little while, and he already had like his associates or whatever. So he started up at Rutgers. And that's actually how he and I started working together on making the videos, because he had to do an internship for it. But then after a while, he's like, dude, why am I spending all this time at college? Why am I spending all this money if when I get my bachelor's and then I start out on the field, I'd be making less than I'm currently making as a trainer right now, like doing what I'm doing. So it's super complicated. And then I really like your, I guess, like origin story, because it's very similar to mine, right? I went to school for music education, but I've been lifting since I was like 16, you know? So I kind of learned how to be a teacher because like I went for music ed, but it transfers over like to training very well because you're literally educating people on how to move, right? But like very similar like starting points. Like after college, I got a job as like a substitute teacher over in Hamilton, and it sucked. The commute was over an hour one way, so I'd wake up before the sun's up, drive over an hour there, essentially babysit because I was teaching 4th and 5th grade band for 6 hours a day. And then you drive back, and by the time you're back, the sun's already down. The traffic is complete garbage. Like, so by the time you're back home, you barely have time to eat and then go to bed, and then you just repeat the cycle. So I hated it. And then on top of that, once you've been substituting for a certain amount of days, you're supposed to make the amount of money that the teacher was making. But they didn't pay me that amount of money, even though like I had been past that like set point. So yeah, it sucked. And then I was like trying to find a job, and nobody would hire me again, because I'm fresh out of college, right? And they're all like looking for these teachers that have like 15 years of experience, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up not getting a job, but I've been super blessed because my fiance's uncle owns his own private training studio over in Hopewell. So I did an internship with him from, I think it was like September of last year or the year before into whenever the pandemic like first started. So that's kind of where I learned the ins and outs of like how to run your own business, how to create a schedule, how to balance all these clients, and then also how to look for things to avoid. So you've seen like I try to do everything myself, and it's because when I was at the studio working with him, I saw what it was like to have a certain amount of space, and for 3 or 4 people to try to get their piece of the pie, it doesn't work out very well. You know what I mean? Because everybody's trying to do their own thing, this and that. Nobody does the schedule well. So that's kind of why I really like my niche of strictly private personal training. But also, like you see, like I love the events, like I love the community of everything too. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got into everything. And then I started doing my own business. Same thing. I never really thought of myself as like an entrepreneur, but I got denied unemployment because I was a private contractor. And I was like, yeah, I was super pissed off. I was like, I don't get it. Like some of my other friends are private contractors. They got unemployment. So why did I get denied? So that's when I was like, you know what? Screw Big Brother. Like I'm going to do my own thing. And then that's how I got everything kind of going. So.
I love hearing the backstory. That, you know what? It's just funny because social media is just it's very quick for you to see what the product of somebody is without really knowing how they got to the point that they got to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like we highlight these things all the time, right? Like even with me wanting to start my podcast, like I was having a conversation with my lady and she was like, you should set up your podcast for people to kind of understand you first, right? Before you start having a bunch of guests, like understand how you got to this point, your philosophy, you know, just like, what are you about? You know, right? And I think it's so easy for me to just connect to my people on Instagram already know me. Yeah, that's great. But there's a whole world outside of this space. So how do you connect with other people and let them in on you as a coach, what you believe in, what you stand for, what your how you started, like all these things that's going to connect someone to a coach and ultimately buy them into you too. You know, like these things are important. So I do love hearing stories like this, because I think we can get caught up into looking at like these cliche motivational quote videos and all this blah blah blah, and it's like, dude, you got to be in front of people. Like, you know what it is? Like at the end of the day, like the Instagram videos are cute, they're nice, the nice videos and all this is nice, but I remember reading this somewhere else. It was like most trainers go wrong, like they're not having conversations with potential people.
Right.
It's just a bunch of for show stuff. And like, it's nice, this is your portfolio, but you need to be talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
However capacity that is, whether it's like email or in person or whatever it is, but you need to be having direct conversation with someone in order to really grow your base. And that was always the thing. I think what I'm trying to get better at with as a coach now, is definitely what I realized over the past 2 years is I was always so comfortable on the floor. And a lot of my clients, when I was in Apollon, would be like, dude, you are like a book of knowledge. You know so much. You're very smart, this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you should spread that out more, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, blogging, whatever the case is. And I just never knew how to package it until probably like 2 years ago, where I started learning how to actually like, I'm like, how do I take, you know what it is? Like at the end of the day, because like I would talk to a lot of younger trainers, they'd be like, I don't know what to do for content. And I would tell them, like, our whole job is content. We just don't catch any of it. We don't catch anything unless you really like have someone following you around with a camera and you like are really, I'm not super tech savvy. I'm not super like, that's not my field. I want to get better at it. I want to have a system with it. But at the end of the day, it's like, you always have content, because if you have 5 clients coming in for the day and they all have hour sessions, that's 5 hours of content that you have.
Yep.
Because you're teaching them stuff, especially if you're passionate about it and you really like give a shit about this thing. You're teaching them stuff. You're going over technique. You're talking over lifestyle, diet, exercise. Like, now just imagine if someone captured this and put it into a video for you. Mm-hmm. Like, we all have it. You know, and we're continuing to create it more and more with these new client dynamics, with the progress that our clients are making in X, Y, and Z. It's just that, how do you now package it to now have more people access it to, you know, from you?
Yeah.
And I think we had this conversation too, where your clients should hear it from you. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and that was one thing that it was starting to sit with me over the past year, because I think what we get afraid of is like repeating content. It's like, well, this person talks about it. This person talks about it. This person talks. What can we do different? And I don't think it's always about being different, because it's like you have your own following of people who look up to what you have to say. They're inspired by what you have to say. They're inspired by your knowledge. And it should be coming directly from you, because maybe they don't, and sometimes that can get tricky for someone going to look out somewhere else. And now it's like they heard this information and now it confuses them, and then they got to come back to you, where it's like, if we already kind of have it packaged to have that information ready for them, whether it's through verbal conversation or blogging or video and X, Y, and Z, that even starts to add more value to yourself as a coach. And ultimately, you learn how to coach people better.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And like, honestly, especially the last couple of weeks, all the videos that I've been making were based off of what I had been working on with my clientele. Right. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are struggling like with their leg drive for the bench. So I was like, okay, why don't I just make a video all about leg drive? So that was definitely huge. And then kind of touching back on what you said before, to be honest with you, dude, most of my clients I got because of my weight loss transformation, right? So now everybody knows that I used to be 236 pounds and then I lost 51 pounds and I was like in the 180s, right? Not an easy thing to do. And then whatever, everybody gets all hyped. Oh, how'd you lose the weight? Blah, blah, blah. The thing that got me the most clientele was because they read my description. And when I was talking about how I was so depressed and struggling like with just everyday life, and they related to that. So you talking about you have to talk to your clients and get to know them as people, blah, blah, blah. That's super true. And I think that's kind of what sets people like you and I apart from other trainers, is because when they're in there with you, you're giving them your full undivided attention. And that's something that I love doing, because I feel like I can genuinely help somebody out instead of just spreading myself too thin and just focusing on getting as many people through the door as I can.
You know, I had a conversation with one of the guys I interned under a couple years ago, probably like 4 years ago. And I think a lot of trainers don't look at the big picture, right? And so I like what you said is like with your weight loss transformation, the key word that stood out to me was relatable. As a coach, all we're doing is, not all we're doing a lot of things, but a big thing that we do is we're filling the void for someone. They're coming to us for a need.
Yeah.
You know, so how can I relate to you and what can you do to service me to fill this void that I need as a customer or a client, however you want to look at it. And what's also important too, that I think this is definitely what I learned a little more later in my career is, you know, a lot of clients really don't, they care how smart you are, but you have to build a relationship. These are all relationships that we have, right? So it's a relationship-based job. Now you take that social aspect of it. You create this environment that makes someone feel comfortable, that makes someone feel empowered and motivated. And now you take your knowledge and you wow the fuck out of them. And now you're educating and you're setting this person up for the long-term success. Because what a lot of these big gyms, they do, they just try to sell the package. Oh, we get all this money up front. But what happens after up front, right? So, yeah, you might have got this client to spend $500 for the month. But what if you had a situation where this client can spend $250 to $300 a month? They can be consistent. And now this client done lasted you three years. So that $500 up front is nothing compared to the $250 a month that's going to last this person 36 months. And now they love you so much. You're training their uncle, you're training their friend, you're training their best friend. Like, this is how that word of mouth kind of goes, and you're not just trying to upsell the big ticket price thing. And then now people run into these situations that I paid all this money thinking this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. They pamper it up and make it look like it's the most beautiful, sexy thing in the world. And you get into it, and it's fabricated, it's bullshit. They don't care about you. Your package is over, and now you're stuck.
Yep.
You know, just going through the same cycle. So now, and I think too, like as coaches, it's important to know who you are as a coach. That's why, like, when me and you had that one phone conversation, I don't think there's a right and wrong to someone's approach. It's just based off of what's the situation that makes sense for you based off of the service that you want to deliver. There's some people who want to do group classes all the time. That's amazing. Do it. Because there's a void for that. And, you know, there's a need for that. There's some people who just want to focus strictly on one-on-one. I like to put a majority of my focus around small group personal training. Neither one is right or wrong. It's just like what makes sense for you. So when you're on the phone, it's like, hey, one-on-one is my shit. This is where I feel the most comfortable. This is where I'm going to deliver the best service I feel for myself. Do it. Now you arrange your business to make that livable for you.
Yep.
Someone that wants to run group classes, go for it, dude. Like, I think it's I think as a fitness community, sometimes it's so quick to just bash oh, that's stupid. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, this is, it's like, no, man, everything has a place. I just hope that people are doing things from a genuine space and they're actually trying to get better as coaches. And, like, that's the foundational stuff that matters as a coach. Do
Yeah.
you care about your clientele? Are you pushing a good service and product? And are you trying to promote longevity and long-term results for these people? You're not just trying to sell them a package and then wait for the next person to come and sell them a package.
Yeah,
Whether you want to
definitely.
do class, PT, powerlifting, bodybuilding, online coaching, in-person coaching, doesn't matter, dude. It's not that
Yeah.
deep.
And I'm kind of seeing that more and more, like as I mature as not just like a lifter, but also as a coach, and really developing respect for all crafts. Because I used to be of the mindset where I'm like, I don't necessarily want to say wasting your time, but like if you're not squatting, benching, and deadlifting and doing bodybuilding movements, like you're never gonna get jacked and tan. But then you got to realize like that's not everybody's goal.
It's
You know
not.
what I mean? Um, and so that's when I also really liked working with my fiance's uncle, because he's way more functional and all about like building people up and kind of like fixing their imbalances and stuff like that. And then he would also do like a group class, like you're saying. And so I used to be like, okay, well, like, why are these people even here? You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna get results by whatever, jumping around and throwing around a 10-pound dumbbell. But then I realized, hey, they're moving, like they're taking care of their hearts, they're taking care of their bodies, and they enjoy the camaraderie of like having people around them. So I've definitely kind of changed like my views on things and developed a larger respect for fitness in general instead of just like sticking with my own vein.
One thing I will say about me is I was always open to trying stuff, especially when I got like later in my career. Like when I first started fitness, I didn't even touch barbells. It was just in my living room or in my bedroom, push-ups, sit-ups, like ranges. Like it was just like the basic of the basic. I didn't even have a pull-up bar at the time. That was literally all I would do. And I would play outside, I would sprint, and I would play football. Like that was literally life. And then through football is when I started finding the weight room. So that's when I got into squats, deadlifts, the whole nine, blah, 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 blah. But there was a period of time where I did yoga for like 4 months. I did cycling classes. Like for me, it was, let me see what the world is like in these other areas. I want to see how instructors interact with the people. I want to see a good class. I want to see a bad class. I want to know how this feels on my body when I do it. I've tried different diets just to like experiment with stuff. It's like I just try to, because at the end of the day, I learn best with my hands. I need to touch. I need to feel. So what better way is to literally just put yourself through it? And do I think there's certain things that might be a little gimmicky? Yeah, for sure. For sure. But ultimately, it's looking at what void are you filling for the people coming through your door, and what is it that you have to offer for them. The problem isn't necessarily so much of the form of fitness people do. My belief, I tell people, I'm like, honestly, do what you want with your body. Like, have fun. Understand that strength is the foundation of everything that you're going to do, whether it's running, jumping, cycling, swimming. Like everything comes from a strength foundation. You have to be able to withstand the resistance that you put yourself on before you can start to condition it or do it to aerobic capacity. Even running, if you don't have stronger left legs to continue running, your legs are going to give out, your joints are going to hurt, your knees are going to be banged up. Like all this comes from the foundation of being strength. I always tell people you do have to incorporate some type of resistance training. Doesn't necessarily have to be weight training, but it has to be something that puts the stress upon the body that you have to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
So which becomes resistance training. But the best form of exercise is going to be the one that motivates someone to keep doing it at the end of the day. So for you, it's going to be powerlifting and bodybuilding. For this person, it can be kettlebells. For this person, it can be cycling. But I think we shouldn't be so closed-minded to other forms of fitness, because at the end of the day, like, the body's a unit, and to promote longevity in the body, you have to be well-rounded in some areas, you know. So at one point in my life, I was extremely barbell heavy. Like, I powerlifted for probably 6 years, you know. Made it all the way to the Arnold in Ohio, which was an awesome experience. I was ranked top 25 in the nation, another thing I'm proud about. But through those years, like, I was pretty much just like powerlifting only. So my body felt it. And I wish the brain that I have now is the brain that I had then. And I was actually a pretty good lifter in terms of like technique too. But at the end of the day, it's like I didn't do enough to promote a healthy body. I didn't know what the fuck mobility was back then when I was powerlifting, bro. My hips felt tight. I would just move my legs wider so I could squat lower. There was no dead bugs. There was none of that shit that I'm doing now. Like, it was just like, I would just look at myself and I'd be like, oh, my form looks good, so I'm fine, you know. But as I got older into my training career, I started to learn, like, no, you have to really take care of your body. So I learned that a lot when I went to my internship, and shout out to Ray for that, because he saw me. He was like, dude, you're so strong, but like, you can't move. Like, my lateral movement was shit. I couldn't balance on one leg. My ankle mobility still trash to this day, but it was horrendous at the time. Single leg strength, forget about it. Adductor strength, forget about it. Like, all of that stuff. And I'm like, damn, like, if I had a better approach when I was younger, my powerlifting would have went even better than it even went. Like, these days, I don't even have a desire to use the barbell, to be honest. Like, I told myself for like a whole year I probably wasn't going to use the barbell, just to force myself to train in other ways and to improve my overall fitness and mobility. So that's honestly how I started finding the kettlebell too, because I was like, what you said earlier is important. Well, you had said if you're not squat, benching, and deadlifting, like, you're wasting your time. That's not entirely wrong, though. So it's like, you should be doing the patterns. So I always tell people, don't marry the exercises, matter the movement pattern. You should be doing some form of a squat. You should be doing some form of a hip hinge, and you should be doing some form of a horizontal push, horizontal pull, vertical push, vertical pull. Whether that wants to be a overhead kettlebell, overhead barbell, whether that wants to be a push-up or a bench press, like, those are fundamental movement patterns that everybody should be able to master, and that everybody should feel comfortable in doing that on a weekly basis. However you decide to do it, that's your business. But it's the patterns that's more important than the exercises. A squat is a squat. I have a 65-year-old woman that comes and trains with me 2 times a week. I don't think I'm loading her on the barbell squat. But I'm making her squat, and you better believe she's going to squat. Whether that's her holding onto a squat rack, or whether that's her doing a goblet, whether that's her sitting down on a chair and standing up. She's going to squat with me. She's going to hip hinge with me. We've been doing hip hinges, holding the band, to create like tension in the upper back and like all of the shit. She does floor presses. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these things are important, but I look at it more as I got away from powerlifting, because what I started to realize about myself was I was strong in powerlifting, but I was weak, like, overall in my body. Because powerlifting, I was getting strong at the skills, and the skills were barbell back squat, barbell bench press, and barbell deadlift. Solid in all of those. Numbers high, everything like that. But I was in my early to mid-20s, and I'm like, I'm dealing with back pain, and I'm dealing with this pain, I'm dealing with that. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like that's the route I want to go for long term. And that's not to put a knock on powerlifting, because I think powerlifting is amazing. But I think when we just start to marry those exercises so much and we don't look to strengthen the body as a whole is when you start running into a lot of issues. So that's when I started, like, I'm going to work on lateral strength. So I would take lateral barbell lunges and I would make that my focus for the next 4 to 5 weeks instead of doing a back squat. Still squat pattern, still a lunge, You know, instead of doing deadlifts as my main lift, I was doing glute ham raises. You know, different stuff like that. Added in more rotation work. I added in like for bench press, I wasn't focusing on heavy barbell. I was focusing on heavy single arm press. Still all the same patterns. They're just not your traditional barbell stuff. And guess what? The funny part is when I got back to the barbell, I felt better.
Yeah.
Every single time is because at the end of the day, you're still doing the patterns. And I've been lifting with a barbell practically my whole life. I know how to bench press just like I know how to tie my shoes at this point. Like, you're not gonna forget that
Yeah.
pattern. It's just movement pattern at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I absolutely love everything that you said because it's something that I realized over the last 5 or so years. Because I got to a certain point, and then I started to hit plateaus for all my lifts, and I was like, well, what the heck's going on? And kind of like something that you and I have talked about on multiple occasions or brought up on multiple occasions is that coaches need coaches too, right? So I realized that I was very strong in certain areas, but that I was lacking in others. And I really love everything that you're saying about being well-rounded in strength overall, because that's why I started hiring my coaches in the first place. So yeah. I noticed like, yeah, I was a strong bencher, or especially this past year, I got my bench up to 365, but then I lost my ability to overhead press 2 plates. And I'm like, whoa, I don't like that. You know what I mean? So having that overall developed strength is definitely key. And like you're saying, powerlifting has been an immense tool for me because it taught me to really dial in on how to move in every single way, right? So not just the squat, bench, and deadlift, but also, okay, how do you properly perform a curl so that way it's completely isolated in the bicep? How do you properly perform a row so that way it's in your back and it's not in your arms, so on and so forth. So taking the time to dial in on all that stuff is definitely super crucial. We have a question from Anto Rubio. It says, what challenges have you guys faced because of social media and how has this platform benefited you? Do you want to take it first or me? Yeah. Do you want to take it first?
By the way, I'll take it first.
All right.
So the problem with social media is a lot of narratives get pushed that aren't the most true. So like you can kind of almost say anything, and if you have enough people that believe you or like root for you or fans, followers, whatever you want to call it, they'll just take it and run with it. Like, in a sense, that's a good thing because you can build up like followers and you can build up like, because like we talked about like that relationship thing, but it's the bad thing when you're building these relationships but you're not using it properly, and now you're actually like misinforming your people instead of actually informing your people. So a lot of these conversations that I'll have with like potential clients coming up, especially if they're catching me from the gram and not really like from a referral, it's question after question, right? Which I understand because you don't know. Like literally, you're coming to me for a need. One question that it's almost a pet peeve of mine, but it's gonna happen is how long do you think it'll take me to get results, bro? You know, yeah. But I attack that question very honest though, and I tell you, I'm like, I will never give you that answer without even having enough background information on you. So I'll even tell you my process a little bit. Like when I'm talking to somebody for an assessment that's interested, I'm gonna send out a questionnaire. My questionnaire has objective questions and it has subjective questions. So what I'm doing with that questionnaire is I'm trying to see what you perceive, and I'm trying to objectively hear, like, you know, injury history, and like one of my favorite questions I ask is, out of a 0 to a 10, 10 being the highest, what do you perceive your fitness level as? I think that's one of the best questions you can ask somebody. I ask them, all right, do you track your meals? Do you do, like, you know, basic little stuff like that? To be honest, all I'm trying to do is see when you come in, how much of that questionnaire is true. And from me working with you, because I can't catch everything in one session, I want to see how much of what you told me is true. Because the first thing that starts to happen is when you start training with somebody, you'll see their real habits very fast. And that injury that they thought they didn't have, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I dislocated my shoulder in 2017.
Yep.
You forgot about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of these things that you start to figure out about a person. You just have to give it time. And through comfortability and building that relationship with someone, they'll start to reveal more of like how their actual lifestyle is. So it's like, I can't give you an answer on what your results will be if you're not even completely sure of what your habits are. Everybody thinks they eat better than they do. Everybody, even me. Like, we all think we eat better than we do if we don't have a system of eating and we don't have a system of tracking. You know, same thing with training. So one of my favorite things to do was people that would come in the gym that wanted to train with me, especially I came from a pylon. So, you know, there would be some people coming in with egos thinking they know everything. And, oh yeah, I benched this, I benched that, I benched that. I remember a guy came to me and said, yeah, you know, I can bench 205. I said, oh, it's great. Let's take a look. And he struggled with, well, actually, he wasn't even touching his chest on anything. You know what I mean?
I've had that happen to me so many times.
So it's like some people, and he still trains with me to this day, so shout out to him. But but he learned though. Like I started to teach him over the time, like what you think is right is actually wrong. So that's where we come in as the educators to all that shit that you're seeing on social media or this that might have been taught to you. We want to really show you how this works. You know what I mean? Like, we are here to guide you on the proper way of how this is supposed to operate. Because sometimes people are doing things where they think it's right, but it's really like completely the wrong thing that you should be doing. So as educators, that's where we come in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I kind of want to backtrack a little bit because we've had a lot of really good conversations so far, but I want to start to add a little bit of structure. So kind of talk to me about like what got you, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what got you into lifting in the first place? And I know you mentioned like you competed at the Arnold, but what are some of your best lifts?
All right, so I'll start with the first one. I was small when I was young, dude. Like, I remember when I hit freshman year in high school, like that's when I first hit like 100 pounds. I was like 105 and I was like flipping shit. I felt like I was the biggest dude in the world.
Yeah.
I didn't hit 100 pounds until I was in 9th grade. I was like super duper small and like, I just knew like I needed to put some size on. Like growing up to be a man, I'm like, I can't be sitting around at 105 pounds. So that's, and I was playing football. So that was the thing that just motivated me to like really get bigger. So by the time senior year came around, I put on about 35 pounds. I graduated at roughly like 137 pounds, 135 pounds, something like that. After that, I started to get a gym membership. When I was in high school, I was actually pretty inconsistent with the gym. Like, I started lifting around probably like 13, 14, but it was almost like seasonal. Like, I would lift for a couple months and I would chill, then I would lift for a couple months and I would chill. And Dre would always be on my ass, dude. Always be on my ass. Like, yo, man, let's go to the gym. Go outside or play football or something like that. But once I graduated and it was like 18, before it turned into Jersey Strong, it was Workout World. So me and Dre used to work out at Workout World. And that was the one in North Brunswick. So we used to train there for a while. And then we started looking into some hardcore gyms. And I remember we went to a gym called World's Gym in Dunellen. It was like, it is funny because I work in Dunellen now, not too far from that space. But it's not World's Gym. I work at the Muay Thai gym, Weapons 9. But we started training at that gym, and then we had found a pylon. And through a pylon is how I found like powerlifting. Because I remember I was just lifting with the barbell, and my numbers are pretty decent. for like my size. I didn't know that they were strong numbers until people like were just telling me like, yo, man, that's a lot of weight, blah, 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 this. So I was probably like, when I was like 140, I was deadlifting like 455 or something like that. You know, my best lift to this, these are my best lifts to this day. I got it for, all right, there you go. I got a 600 deadlift at the Arnold straight bar with a strained hamstring because I strained it during my second attempt squatting that day. So I took like 9 Motrins and ibuprofen to like stop the pain. But I got that. I did a 315 bench that wasn't in competition, and I hit a 545 squat. All this was at like 165 weight class. My overall goal, I always wanted to hit a 600 squat and a 700 deadlift, maybe, but I don't know if that'll be a thing that I try to strive for now. Now I'm trying to do like 97-pound overhead presses with a kettlebell or something like that. But yeah, those are my powerlifting lifts. Probably my favorite lift of all time that I've done was a 405 front squat. I'm super, super proud of that lift. I failed it, and then I came back and I hit it again, like right after. I almost blacked out the way that shit was choking. That's such an uncomfortable lift when it gets heavy, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done that, and then max pull-ups, I probably got like 28 one time. My push-up endurance is terrible. I have strong push-ups, but like once I get to like 50, my shit's like tapped out. I have like no push-up endurance. My favorite, I had the 635 trap bar deadlift. My favorite rep deadlift was 495 for 13. This is like all of my powerlifting, like heyday stuff. 315 for like 20 squat. So these are some numbers. By 21. Actually, Guy Ciccinino spotted me on that. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, that's what really got me started. It was just like I was just so small, and I just really wanted to put some size on. So that's how I fell in love with the barbell. There's no other way to get bigger and stronger than putting some heavy ass weight on the bar. So when I tell people, you know, what do I do to get big outside of like the calorie portion? I'm like, dude, the shit that you can load up with the most weight is the shit that's going to make your body grow.
Yep.
Grab heavy kettlebells, just literally grab heavy shit, get your body to adapt to it, and take care of yourself. Like, you'll grow. Make sure you eat enough calories. Your body will be forced to grow. Because at the end of the day, like, we want to adapt to what we're doing. And then once you adapt to what you're doing, then you train to change the stimulus a little bit, so you can adapt to the new stimulus that you do. And it's just a rinse and repeat process. Don't make it harder than it is. The basics will always, always, always work. Go heavy with control. Yes, Michaela. That means you're doing the right shit in training.
It's very interesting, like, to kind of hear your backstory. And especially some of the other people I interviewed, it's, like, very similar. But for me, I got into lifting because I was always like overweight, right? So it's funny that you said you went into high school around like 100, 105, because I was like 110 in like 4th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when I really started to realize, oh, like I'm bigger than all the other kids. And that's when I really started to get like self-conscious about it and about my weight. And it wasn't until I did wrestling my junior year, I was able to cut down. I had been into like the 160s, 170s. I was able to cut down into like the 150s, and I was actually looking decent. But yeah, I was always heavy, and I wouldn't just get it at school. I would get it at home too. Like my mom would talk about, oh, maybe you should get like the smaller size meal at McDonald's, or like my sister would be grabbing my man boobs, and I'm like, yo, like, get off me. So it's interesting to see like how the iron brings people from both sides. Like either you want to get bigger or you want to get smaller, but we're all here like doing the same thing. So that's pretty cool.
I love that you say that. I always say like it's the iron community.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people, that's what's so cool about like even when we did like the deadlift party and stuff, it's like female, male, big, tall, wide, slim, strong, beginner. Like we had so much diversity based off of one fucking exercise, dude.
Yep.
I think that's the coolest shit in the world. Like the person who's deadlifting like 700 is cheering on the person who's deadlifting like 105.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you create the environment for that too, because you can have some douchebags and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, we don't associate with that type of shit. But
Well,
it's
the one girl who deadlifted 315, I was more happy for her that she hit 315 than I was for me hitting 525. Like,
dude, she was like 100 pounds.
makes no sense.
Shout out to her though, because she's still killing shit.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure.
It's amazing, man. It's this the gym really does bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Like when it's done right and you create the community right, man, you'll see people. We all have that one common goal of wanting to come here and literally just get better.
Yeah.
You know, so creating those safe spaces for people to come in and just feel comfortable. Like I had a situation even this morning where one of my clients was like, "Oh, I can't do what they're doing. I can't do that. I can't do that." It's like we don't care. You know what I mean? Like we're all here to work at our fitness level to improve our fitness level. Like it's not like, oh, this person's better than you because they can squat 315. Like it doesn't invalidate you as who you are as a person. And I feel like as the fitness community, sometimes like people can feel that way because of certain images or certain messages that's pushed where it's like, no, man, like that's not what it's about. Like you're not better than someone because you're in shape or this or that, whatever. Like it's a community at the end of the day. And we're all here to help each other and get better and progress. And this also starts to carry over into other areas of life. As you probably have experienced with yourself, like your confidence has started to change. The gym literally teaches you how to plan a goal, set a goal, and achieve it, and then rinse and repeat. That can carry over to every aspect of your life, dude.
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to the question that guy asked where it talks about like the false perceptions on social media. You see so much like body dysmorphia. You know what I mean? Looking at all the influencers, everybody thinks that they have to look a certain way, or everybody thinks that people train a certain way. But then it's like, I've had the same thing. So many clients come to me, they're like, yeah, you know, I don't know like what I'm doing. I'm scared to go to the gym, this and that. And it's like, dude, we're all here doing the same thing. And I've had the same experience as you. I've talked to this one girl when she first came to me. I was like, listen, I'm going to have you deadlift in the triple digits. And she was like, no. Literally the next week, she pulled 115 on the hex bar. And last week, she deadlifted, I think, 235.
Oh, shit.
Like, yeah, like nothing, dude. It makes no sense. So it's like, I love getting people to do stuff that they never thought that they could do. Like, that brings me so much joy. So we kind of talked about like what got you into training or like personal training in the first place. And we talked about how long you've been coaching, but how is, or let me rephrase that. What's your approach to balancing everything, right? So for me, I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm starting to feel some serious burnout because I'm so busy between my training, my business, and my clientele. So how have you kind of learned to manage that over the years?
A couple ways. Time management is a skill that everyone should learn. So even over probably like the last year, there was a couple times in my life where I worked like 7 days a week, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Yeah, I've been there.
But sometimes what starts to happen as coaches, especially if we don't know how to manage time, is we're trying to fit everybody in and we feel like we don't have enough time. So we just ended up like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to work on this Saturday or I'm just going to work on this Sunday or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and now sometimes you're stretching out times where it's like you're just accommodating for this 1 or 2 hours and it's like it throws off your whole day. Like, what's the point? You know? So literally what I tell a lot of coaches is figure out what schedule you want to work, first of all. That's very important. Figure out what schedule you want to work. Have an idea probably even how much money you want to make off of this service that you're providing. And now make it make sense for you. So if you're just trying to take on and just spread time, like sometimes you don't really know what you're chasing because you can't be a people pleaser in this with everything. Because at the end of the day, it's like your clients are coming to you to fill a need and a void, yes, but it still has to be into the constraints of what you can manage and what makes sense for you too. So if, let's say I'm just going to throw out something random. Let's say Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 is your schedule to work. And you have a client that says, hey, I want to work 8 p.m.s 3 times a week. And you know you don't do 8 p.m. and you do 9 to 5. But you're deciding now, because you're just looking at the money of it, I'm going to take this 8 p.m. 3 times a week, and now your whole schedule is fucked. So now, honestly, if you losing that person that you can't do the 8 p.m., dude, just send them somewhere else. It's okay. You literally can't take everybody. There's somebody for everybody. Because what starts to happen is, the problem with burnout is you'll start to lose your passion and you'll start to lose your motivation. Your discipline too.
Yeah.
Like you'll just literally just want to break. But that's because it's not managed right. So in my case, my schedule is set up in blocks. So I have it where, all right, Monday, I'm doing this from this time to this time. I'm doing this from this time to this time. And I schedule my business hours to work. So I don't think many coaches should be doing more than, personally, 30 to 35 hours on the field, especially if you're more seasoned, because now we're talking on the business side. If you're always in your business, how are you going to work on it? If you're always in doing the legwork, how do you create the space to make it grow? You can't. It is literally a different brain that you have to go in with. So I have my coaching hours to where I'm going to be high energy. I got the music playing. I'm in the mode to coach. If I do coaching 1 hour and then I go do business another hour and then I go back and do coaching another hour, like I'm fucking up the energy just to stay in these two different modes. Like when I'm in business mode, sometimes it takes me a few hours to get in the rhythm to even create. So I don't even get to live in that space to create, because it's like, oh, I'm fitting in this client real quick. Let me train him and get back to doing the business. I don't feel like that approach works. And I think sometimes I think as coaches, sometimes just because we're trying to appease so many schedules, we're not considering our own schedule. Because at the end of the day, people are going to talk about you when you deliver a bad service before they talk about you delivering a great service first. So now if I'm coming in and I'm burning out and I'm running late all the time, my energy is low, people are going to notice this shit. Just because you wanted to take on another 2 to 3 clients just because you wanted to meet their schedule. Like sometimes it's literally not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what I recommend for a lot of coaches is time management is key. Figure out the schedule you want. Figure out what you want to bring in. Figure out what your capacity is. A lot of us do this and we have no idea what our capacity is. Me included. Like sometimes I'm like, I think I can take this much. If you don't know what your capacity is, you're going to run into some issues. If you don't know what your schedule is, you're going to run into some issues. So that's not to say you can't have flexibility, because life happens, which makes sense. But you want to have a structure or something that you adhere to for the most part. So if you know what your capacity is, you know what you want to bring in, you know what your hours are, stick to that shit. And yes, you have to accommodate clients, but they also have to respect what you have set for yourself too, because at the end of the day, you're passionate about this. You want to deliver a quality service. As soon as things start happening to where you feel like your service is now declining, you have to look at your whole situation, how you're structured and set up. Because if you're feeling this way now, you're going to feel this way later and into a higher capacity of what you feel. And now you're going to have to work yourself out of that. So you want to prevent it early.
Yeah, and I learned that lesson the hard way, right? So last year when I really first opened up my business, I had like a couple clients and I was like, oh, you know what? Like if I get 12 clients, like I'll be set on making decent money, blah, blah, blah. 12 came and went. Oh, 15. 15, I'm good. Like, I'll hit 15, I'm good. 15 comes and goes. 18. All right, I'm good. 18 people, business is good. I'm killing it. I got up to 20 people that I was training all at the same time. I worked 7 days a week for 3 months straight, and I wanted to kill myself. I'm like, dude, this is terrible. Like, I can't keep on doing this. And that's when, like, luckily personal training is very seasonal. So people, like, yeah, you'll get a huge inflow, but then they drop like flies at the same time. So I was able to kind of have the reprieve without having to force it myself. But then I was like, you know what? I'm never doing that again, blah, blah, blah. So I kept all my hours within the weekdays, and I stopped working on the weekends. And it gave me those days to re-energize and, like, renew my mind, like you're saying, because you could definitely tell. Even now, with the constraints that I have, like I have Monday, Tuesday work, Wednesday focus on content in the business, Thursday, Friday work, and then the weekend is to focus on myself. Even with those time constraints, it's still hard to re-energize myself, you know? And then the other thing that was, like you and I have talked about it before, I was kind of freaking out about a price increase, but once I realized that I have a certain demand and I only have so much time, it's like, okay, well, you have to increase the price so that way the people that really mess with you are going to stick around, and those that aren't really feeling it are going to drop out. So you have
business 101 right there.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I first heard that, I was like, wait, I can make more money for working less hours? I was like, I didn't even know that that was like a thing. You know what I mean? I thought I just had to grind. And then when I kind of did like recon to other places in the area, and that's what really kind of gave me the confidence for it, because I'm like, dude, this gym's charging this much. That's almost double what I charge, and my product is way superior. Like the quality's there, the attention's there, all that stuff is there. So definitely a lot of stuff I learned the hard way, but I'm glad that this is like year 2 for me, and I'm already learning these lessons early on. It's going to save me so much like time and stress and energy down the line. So
you have a lot of good coaches around you that like you've had conversations with, and you can see this stuff early. Yeah. I do think it's important that every coach goes through that super grind to experience that, because it puts a lot of things in perspective for you. Like I don't regret those times where I was working 7 days a week. Like I learned so much about time management, and I learned about how passionate I am about it, that I even went to that extent just to meet people's needs. And I learned, like, hey, if I ever need to like really bust my ass to work super hard, I have the capacity to do it. Yeah. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
You know,
well, that's also part of what I learned working with my fiance's uncle, because I don't know how he was able to do it, but he would be up 4:30 in the morning, train people from 5 until noon, somehow have time to get his workout in. I mean, I'm sure he took naps, because like there's no way he didn't. And then train more people again in the evening. And I'm like, dude, to train for like 7 hours in the morning and getting like that little sleep, I could never do it. Yeah. And the other thing is that I'm really glad that I did was I looked up videos on YouTube about gym owners, right? And like what they did when they were opening their business, different mistakes that they made, blah, blah, blah. And the one thing that kind of didn't sit right with me was I watched, do you know who Alan Thrall is video? Or like, yeah, Untamed Strength. I watched his video when he first opened up his gym, and he was saying, if you really want to get your business off the ground and you want to be a successful trainer, your training is going to suffer. Like your lifts are going to suffer. And I was like, no, like I need that me time. I need to be in this. And like you're saying, like you become a better coach by doing everything yourself and being in it yourself. So I was like, I disagree with that. So I've taken that approach, especially over the last year, of me focusing on my own training, because it's only been beneficial to my clients. Mm-hmm. Is it hard to balance? Yes. Is he kind of right? Yeah, I could be making a lot more money if I spent more time training people and less time on myself, but then my craft wouldn't be as honed. Like my product wouldn't be as good.
But you also learn how to make your workout time more efficient. Like when we're young, we're always in the gym for like 2 to 3 hours, dude.
Yeah.
You know, but like because I get that brain where they're like your training is gonna suffer, but it's just a matter of like how you manage it a little different. You probably can't do 3-hour workouts anymore.
Right.
So how do you create a system for your training that becomes more efficient on your time as well? You know, so powerlifting takes a while. It takes a while, so you have to structure it in a way that it does fit, because like you said, it's important that you keep that craft going because it's going to make your business, you know, efficient, because now you're staying fresh into your craft.
Definitely. Let me see the next thing. The next thing I was going to talk to you about was your approach to improving program adherence and client retention. So something that I've kind of had issues with is here and there. Like you'll have some people where they're the perfect client. They do all the stuff that you say, they're making crazy progress, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other people that whenever they have a good day in the gym, they decide to max out. So like for you personally, like how have you improved your program adherence and also like retaining your clients over the years?
The one thing I've always prided myself on is my client retention has been pretty solid, but that's because I've always built really good relationships with the people that I train. One thing, and what helps too, is just literally know what type of coach you are, know what type of people you attract. Like that's big too. I've had assessments where I just told people like, I don't think this is gonna work. Perfectly fine. I was like, you don't even have to pay for it. It's not, you know, like we're not gonna be a fit, because these are relationship based things at the end of the day. And I think as coaches we should understand that just because you can't make it work with every client, that doesn't take away from your value. You know, you can be an amazing coach for someone and not be the right coach for somebody else. That doesn't take away from you. So for client retention is figure out what your niche is, figure out the people that you attract, understand what type of coach you are, and continue to build this honest relationship with your clients. Educate them, empower them, motivate them. It's not enough for you to be smart as a coach. Like what you said earlier, it's like, what's that thing that you can relate to your coach with? When I come here, does he empower me or does she empower me? Do I leave here feeling better or do I leave here feeling worse? Do I feel like this person's paying attention to me? It's like, these are the soft skills that honestly make or break a trainer. I tell smart technical trainers all the time, I said, you want to learn about retention? Pay attention to a bad trainer that has a big following. They might not be good on the technical side, but they're personable. People like them. You want people to like you, period. Like that part helps. That's not to say you need to conform, but that comes to the part of knowing your niche. If you stand in what you believe in and you stand in how you are and you treat people with respect and you get results and you create this environment that makes people want to come back, oh, of course, dude. And you continue to fill the need and the void for them. That part's important. Like that part can't be lost in any of it. So now it's like you're setting this person up for long term. You're setting this person up as recurring. You're not just looking at it. And I have these conversations with people like, I'm not looking for the client that's going to be here for a month. I'm looking for the client that's going to be here for a year. Mm-hmm. A year turns into 2 years. The real fun happens when we like really create the foundation with a client and they have like some basic self-sufficiency. Oh, we're going to go crazy now. But all this stuff takes a process, dude. You didn't get your bachelor's degree in 2 months. Got it in 4 years. Like, you know, it's just, you have to be willing to be patient with your clients, and they appreciate that too. When you have a trainer that's patient with them as they're trying to learn, when they're screwing up on stuff, you're not like scorning them or anything like that. You're like, no, it's okay. And then you like educate them through it. You make them feel comfortable through it. 3 months down the road, now they're looking at it like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this now compared to, you know, this before. So I think a big part of that is like your clients want to feel like they're a part of something. You make them feel like they're a part of something. You make them feel like friends and family, and it's all coming from a genuine space. It goes beyond just you being a great technical trainer. You're a good human, and they want to be around you because you make their day better. That's one of my favorite things. Like, is when I come in here, I feel this way, and then when I leave here, I feel like I can take over the fucking world. Like, that's what you want.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also, again, why I love doing all these different events. Because it's one thing, you know what I mean? Come in, train, do your thing, get a good workout in. But seeing other people cheer you on, you're cheering on other people, and then seeing all that hard work that you've done, like amount to something, you know what I mean? People love that. So that's why I love doing all these different events, and everybody has a great time. So it's good stuff.
You should keep them going a couple times
Yeah.
a year. It brings a different energy out. It really
Yeah.
does. It really does. And then you start to see the community that you're creating around.
Definitely.
You know, so it's an amazing thing.
So my next question for you is, how has your programming for your clients and for yourself changed over the years? So for me personally, as you know, I was all about bodybuilding, power building, blah, blah, blah. So especially at one point, I was all about like the bro split. So doing like one body part a day for those who don't know. And that's where I try to get people to go. And then I kind of realized not everyone can dictate 5 hours a week or even like 5 half hours a week to doing that much. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, blah, blah, blah. So now I've started to, instead of just having that strict bodybuilding approach, thinking more efficiently for my programming and my workouts, and then how to do warm-ups and so on and so forth. So how have things changed for you over the years?
It goes back to the filling the need and the void for people. So it starts off with the assessment. The assessment it's pretty much like a movement screening. So based off of what you tell me your goals are, and based off what I see that your needs are, your programming is going to reflect a mixture of both. You want to have, let's say, amazing glutes, but you don't know how to control your pelvis and your squat pattern is shitty. We're going to kill two birds in one stone. We're going to teach you how to squat. We're going to teach you core control. And then we're going to give you the volume and the strength sets needed to get you these glutes. You know, so it's like meeting your client in the middle with what they want and what they need, and also realizing the stage that they're at and the frequency that they're at in their training.
Yeah.
So if I have someone new coming to me and they're trying to start the habit of fitness, and I know right now they can't commit to more than 2 times a week moving, it doesn't make sense to give them a upper body split and a lower body split. I'm going to give them 2 full body splits.
Right.
You know. Now, in another case, let's say I have a client that comes and she trains upper body a lot, and she's like, hey, I really want you to work on my legs. Now, I know that you're doing some essential work on the side, so now I can program for us when you come in to focus on leg work and to focus on core work and breathing work and all this type of stuff like that. So I have to look at what the whole situation is, because at the end of the day, 1-2 days, it's really not enough. We have 7 days in a week, so we do want to promote movement at least more times than we rest. So 4 days to 3, 5 days to 2, whatever the case like that. And knowing what someone's frequency is at the gym. All right, I'm coming to you 2 times a week, T, and I'm going 2 other times on my own. Okay, what are you doing on your own? I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay, so when you come to me, we can do this. Now, if I know this person's coming once a week and they're only seeing me, I don't recommend it, but that's how some people start. We have to go with a full body approach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it literally makes no sense to do anything else. So we're just going to put all the essentials into this workout. What I've been trying to do now is like I've been offering for my in-person clients, because I do virtual programming and stuff like that too. But now I'm offering a service where I do an additional 2 days of program for someone as like an add-on. So it's like you do in-person training here. Let's say you do twice a week. And then for the add-on X amount of dollars, now you get an extra 2 times a week that I program. So now that gives me more control over your whole week, which is a way better situation. So it's like, if I can trust this person to do arms and aerobic work and like core on their own because I know they're pretty comfortable in that area. Now when they come in, I could focus on this person's squat, this person's hip hinge, maybe more scapular work or something like that. So now the program starts to make sense for them.
Nice. Yeah, that's super solid, and it's something I'm kind of seeing a lot, especially this year for my clients as well. I think the main thing that has really set me apart over whatever, like the last year or two from other trainers is my understanding of fatigue management.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't get that because, to be honest, they've never lifted heavy or often enough for that to happen or for that to be an issue. And because I specialize in powerlifting and like strength and conditioning, I realized like if you're coming in and you feel like garbage, you're not going to have a proper lift. You're not going to be able to give everything that you need to do. So I saw the same thing happen. I'm helping this dude prep for my deadlift competition, but he was doing his leg day as like a separate day on his own. So he comes in to do deadlifts, supposed to do sets of 8, and he's like, dude, I'm still fried from squats yesterday. And I'm like,
yeah,
why would you squat the day before you're supposed to deadlift? You know, like unless you're accustomed to that and you've been doing it for that long and you shouldn't do it. So then when you're talking about like having more control or control over the schedule, it definitely helps everything a lot. Cool. So what about you and your business, right? So I see you making moves. I've been following you for the last like year or so. And honest, dude, in just like the last year, you've done a lot. And it's cool because same thing as when I was doing like my internship. I'm seeing the stuff that you're doing and I'm learning as you're going. So it's not just you and your journey. Like I feel like I'm a part of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself 5-10 years from now? And like where do you see the growth in you as like your own fitness journey, but then also for your clientele and your business?
So I'll start with the business part. So pretty much I've always said I wanted to own my own gym and like my own space. I think over the past year, I look at owning my own space different. Like I felt like, oh, when I have my own gym, I need to be open 7 days a week and all this stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I just need my own workspace, you know, or I just want my own workspace. And then it'll be no different. I set the hours the way I do now in my own workspace. So if I'm open from X, Y, and Z to this time and X, Y, and Z to this time, but now I just have the platform to where it's just all open for me in my big playground, you know. But being as an independent, I would look at a lot of what the other independent coaches are doing, and I'm like, how do you create a business to manage as an independent coach without having like a huge team? I do want a team over after a while, but I want to be able to still create a system that I can survive in as an independent right now. So the goal now is to kind of make my business more scalable. So what I mean in that case is have different options in tiers for people to pretty much like to buy into. So I want to work on more like free content to where now I have blogs on squatting. I have talks with Alex, right? I got podcasts, this, and just free information to give out, which doesn't take away from your value. If anything, it just makes you a better coach and it makes you a better teacher and it brings bigger eyes to you and it brings more eyes to you. Now, the thought process behind it is free content here, virtual content here. You can buy programs based off of this, subscription based here. I have really good ideas for subscription based like training plans and stuff. And then you start going into, all right, virtual coaching service here, in-person class here, in-person small group, in-person one-on-one. You know, it's like the ladder gets higher and the value gets higher too, because now you're looking at a paying for time thing too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to have my setup that's so scalable that adds more value to the in-person stuff that's in. So it's almost to the point like your price is forced to increase because you offer X, Y, and Z, and you offer so much that you can have a shit ton of people learn off of you and not even have one session with.
Right.
Now it's going to bring so many eyes that people are just, it's like, wow, he has so much education here. Like, I want to experience this in person. So people will literally start to prepare to save or whatever, or just to work with you in that case, because you already provided with so much shit just off a podcast, blogging, website, whatever you got going on. And now with the virtual services, it's like, I want to have services where it's more inclusive to a bunch of people, and then services where, like I said, knowing that limit, right? Maybe I only want a certain amount of one-on-one clientele because I know what I want to fit in my schedule with that. Maybe I'll take only a certain amount of small group personal clients. And now when it comes to virtual, you're going to have a lot more space to take on with people because there's a market for that too. So it's just like trying to fill the void based off of what people's situations are and still allow myself to have a schedule that I can live off of, you know, and be able to spread myself out to more people, and the people that have more exclusive services, they're valued higher, and I have more to offer them when they come in.
Nice.
Now, for my personal fitness goals, man, it's a good one. I've been really enjoying the kettlebell. I told myself I wasn't going to train with the barbell for like a year, just based off of what we talked about earlier, just literally exploring the body different. I would love to increase my mobility. I would love to be more explosive. I took a love to leg training when I was younger. Like, I've been like really into upper body lately. It's like a phase I've been going through. So like, I just like the idea of like picking up like heavy ass kettlebells and pressing them overhead and like rotating with them and all type of crazy shit like that. So, but like, if I were to simplify everything, I just want to be like more mobile, more relatively strong with body weight, more agile, have a little more like aerobic conditioning behind me, just like and a lot less pain, like a lot more pain free.
Yeah.
You know, so I've really been getting into isometric training a lot. Like, I'll take a split squat and I'll hold it for like 2 minutes. It's fucking like ridiculous, but when I tell you like my ankle strength and my tendons and my knees and everything started feeling better, Chinese planks holding for like 5 minutes and shit like that, like,
sounds so awful,
dude. It's terrible and it hurts a lot, but like my body has been adjusting and has been feeling so much better. So I've just been trying to find strength in like other ways opposed to just my barbell strength that I've been accustomed to for like over a decade.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that a couple of things that you touched on I really like. We're talking about doing everything yourself, like obviously same boat. Like, I want to own my own place. One of the things that really kind of put me onto that, again, watching my fiance's uncle and how he runs things, and then seeing him having to share that space with the other trainers and all like the headaches that he had to deal with. But then the other thing was he was the main renter, but he didn't own the building, right?
Yeah, that's common.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, he had to shut down. It wasn't up to him whether or not he got to continue doing his thing. So, like, not saying that the pandemic will happen again. Hopefully it doesn't, obviously. But if something like that was to happen, I would want to be in charge of my building, not have it be in somebody else's hands.
Yep.
So I super feel you on that. And the other thing is definitely, I'm really enjoying putting out content more than I thought that I was going to. I've always been kind of camera shy, which is why in all my videos you see it's all like captions instead of me actually saying things. Down the line, I'm probably going to end up talking on camera, but at least for the time being, I kind of like how it's set up. Hang on. Thank you, Zach, for saying Alex's man is your fiance's. Yeah, my fiance's uncle has been a trainer for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. He works in M3 Studios over in Hopewell. He specializes in what's it called? In functional training. Like, he's really good at helping people. Like, for example, this one dude was in a motorcycle accident and he had to get surgery, and the doctor ended up cutting into his lat. So he lost a certain amount of function. And then through working with my fiance's uncle, he was able to help him regain strength in that area. So
Super dope.
dude's freaking insane. And it's like to the point where he can tell just by listening to your gait, like your footsteps on the treadmill, what imbalances you have.
Oh, that's dope.
It's freaking mind. Yeah. What was I saying? I don't remember. Got taken off track. But yeah, so I feel you on all that stuff. Oh, the content. Yeah, so
content.
I saw a video from Matt Winning today, and he was talking about his pet peeves, like 3 of his pet peeves. And he was saying that like his company produces all this free content, but it's through people working with him, like getting that coaching, that he's actually able to do that. So same thing for you and me, right? It's through our personal training that we're able to afford to put out this free content for people.
Yep.
Which kind of brings me to my next part, because one of the things he talked about in his pet peeves was people trying to get things for free, right? So I actually recently had this. Somebody came over, he's just not committing to training with me, even though I pointed out every single thing that's wrong with his current program and his coaches and blah, blah, blah. I don't like talking trash about other trainers, but I'm not going to sit there and let you be on a garbage program and have you kind of be duped by it. But anyway, trying to get me essentially to coach him for free or give him like accountability for free. So what are some of your pet peeves when it comes to training?
Yeah, free is definitely a huge one. When you start to give away too much stuff for free, and you don't even have to charge a shit ton for like assessments and consultations, but ultimately it shows that you're valuing your business. So when you start giving things away for free for people, like they'll even just look at it. They're not gonna appreciate it the same way. You know, I get annoyed by people who look for coaching but don't want to be coachable. Like, what the hell are you asking me for in the first place? And that's not to say like, and that's not to say you can't ask questions, because you should. You should be educated, and whatever your coach is putting you through, they should have a reason and why they're putting you through whatever they're putting you through. But to flat out just like almost be disrespectful about it, or to like not engage yourself into it and to be dismissive is a whole different thing. Like, what are you here for in the first place? I had an assessment like that before. I just kicked them out the gym. You know, that's when I was working at that's when I was working as an employee at the last spot that I was at before I went back independent. And that was a big conversation that we had. But I'm like, listen, there's just certain things that like I don't take as a coach myself. Like, if you're going to come in and be dismissive and like not look in the eyes and look away and like all type of like weird shit like that, what the fuck are you coming here in the first place?
Yeah.
Just leave. Like, I'm not going to waste my time when, and it was a class, I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time when there's people around that want to learn and they're eager and they want to get better, and you're sitting here and you're not even questioning in a positive way. You're doing it in a dismissive way. No, it's not necessary. You can go. Yeah. I don't want that client. I'll never want that type of client. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to prove myself to you. That's ridiculous to me. You know, if you're coming here looking for help, be receiving and welcome into it. And then from there, we can do something. But if you're going to come in with that type of attitude, you can just head somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Not even like just clients or like whatever people coming through, but also like other trainers. And that's part of the reason why I never want to / talk trash about like other trainers, is because first of all, everybody's doing their thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own background, blah, blah, blah. But I've like personally been in a situation where I was training somebody and then another trainer came up and was giving their 2 cents. And it's like, whoa, bro, like, first of all, this isn't your client. You can see I'm in the middle of something. Why are you trying to butt in? You know,
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, that stuff gets me super heated. And then at the time, I wasn't certified. So all the, oh, but you don't have your certification, blah, blah, blah. Stuff drives me crazy. And it's like, okay, but I've been doing this for longer. Like, my strength development's higher, blah, blah, blah. And what was it? So like, my boy Toby said it the other day that Stan Efferding said that when you're underneath the bar, it doesn't care about your master's, your doctor, or nothing. it's all about experience in the weight room. So
Mm-hmm.
education is super important. Yeah, exactly. Education is super important, but definitely nothing beats experience, in my opinion.
Nothing. And that's everybody should have on the ground constant experience, dude. That's where you're gonna learn your best in this field. Not the books are good to expose you to information, but at the end of the day, man, if you're not putting in your 10,000 hours and your 100,000 hours on the field,
Yeah,
it's not gonna pay off for you.
right.
You won't
And
even know how to deal with virtual stuff the right way.
exactly. And that's also why I kind of disagreed when Alan Thrall said that your person, like your own training should or will suffer. Because I'm like, if I'm not in it with my clientele, why should they trust me? Like, if I've never done something before, if I've never been through it, why are they trusting me? Just because I read something about it? Like, no, like they want to know, hey, he's been through this before. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's on my side. He's got my back. All right, so I think I just had two more questions for you because we already talked about like your personal and business goals. Two things I wanted to know. The first one is what got you into collaborating with other people in the fitness industry? So I see you've done stuff with that meal prepping company. I forget the dude's name. You did a live with him.
My boy Sharif.
Yeah,
Limitless. Yeah, Limitless.
exactly. That was super dope. I know you've done yoga stuff. I know you've done a lot of stuff with Chino. What kind of got you into that in the first place?
Because there's a space for everybody. And I think in our field it's too much of a dog eats dog mentality.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, listen, I have a client base, you have a client base. Chino has a client base. And us being together and coming together, learning off of one another, that's going to put our field in a way, I think long term with this stuff, right? Like if that's why I'm not so quick to shit on other trainers, because sometimes you do just get shitty clients, and some people maybe doesn't know how to work with that personality the best, so their approach might not be the best for them. They literally might just not be a good fit. That's possible too. And that's why I'm like, there's literally a space for all of us. This person has their niche in this. They have their niche in this, and their energy is this way, so they attract this type of person. We can learn from that. Someone can learn from me. I learned from you looking at your stuff and how you do things, your videos, and like just having conversations. So I'm like, if we all want to go further, not even as our own career, but as the whole landscape of our career to be respected, we all should have like a baseline, and we all should kind of be in it together, opposed to just be so quick to shit on the next person. You know, like no field works that way, dude. Like everybody needs to be a part of it, because we need to take our field and make this shit bigger than life, so our field gets more respected over the years. And if we just keep pitting each other against each other, what more am I going to get from that? Mm-hmm. I would say I'm approaching some of my best years with all these collaborations and all these connections that I'm building and these new eyes, and I'm having fun with this shit. It's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's definitely kind of opened my eyes to different people in Jersey. Like there's lots of other gyms that I saw from you and Chino that I didn't even know about. Yeah. Lots of other trainers that I didn't even know about. And like you put me onto the whole concept of what we're doing right now, doing the IG lives, talking to other people in the industry, dispelling all these myths, getting good information out there. So definitely keep doing what you're doing, bro. It's awesome.
And look how much we've learned from each other.
Right.
Like, you've had some smart ass people on these lives, and just from having conversations, just seeing what some people come from, and just like you just pick up little things. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like you're in the room, dude. Like you're in the room with other professionals. You're learning from them. You're learning their do's. You're learning their don'ts. Certain things that make sense for them don't make sense for you. Like it's just like we're all just in this shit together with our own situation, and then like we're all just, whether intentional or unintentionally, helping each other in the long run. And it's all making us better coaches, and it's making the field better. And at the end of the day, if we're passionate about this and we want clients, because at the end of the day, we can't take everybody. We had that conversation. We don't want everybody either. We had that conversation. So hey, let's make the field better overall. So for that client that does need the help, I have someone I can refer to you because I think this person might be a better fit for you. That doesn't take anything away from me. I'm a great coach. I know that. But he's a great coach too. And his setup might be better for you because of what he offers or what she offers. So what? And now that client respects that. And they might have a person that they can send to you because it's like, hey, I talked to this person. They sound like they might be a good fit for you. It all comes back around somehow. It might not happen immediately right then, but it's going to happen some way down the line. You know, and I think we need to think more like that as coaches.
Definitely. All right, sir. Well, my last question for you is, what advice would you give to someone just starting out their personal training or small business journey? And what lessons have you learned the hard way?
Learn time management and get on the field. Get on the field. Read your books is fine, but if you have the opportunity to be under someone and learn on the field, put your hands on clients, like fucking take that shit every time, dude. Like even with me being so many years in, I never want to lose the in-person thing. Like, you're always going to run into something new. And that shit that you read in the book, now when you get in person, it's like, how do you put that in play?
Yeah.
What do you do to the client that doesn't know how to squat? Like, you read all these books about it, but what does it look like in person? How do you touch and feel it and make it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Learn it, because another part about coaching too is like your delivery, your tone of voice, your body language, your attentiveness, you know, it's like all these other small things that you can't learn from a book. So you might come here and have the whole Rolodex on how to give somebody a perfect squat, but now you got to get that person to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to get that person to trust you. So it doesn't matter if you have all the answers if they're not buying into you because you don't sound confident enough to deliver them the correct information. It doesn't matter. You just lost a client. Not because you're not smart, because you don't know how to connect to them. And that comes from being in person and dealing with people. So I tell new coaches all the time, like, yo, go out there and work, man. Go out there and work and get around some people and get around some gym environments and fucking work, because make your mistakes early. It's going to happen, and it's supposed to happen. You're not going to land every client. That's going to happen. You're going to look at some clients that you work with earlier in the years and be like, damn, I would have did that with them better. I look at that shit all the time. It's like where I am now and thinking about some of the older clients that I would have had is like, oh, I would have did this with them. I would have did this with them. I would have did this with them. But it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I think, like, social media fucks us up, making us think that everything is so perfect. Like, dude, get in the ring, get your hands dirty, get your feet wet, and figure this shit out. If you care about it enough, you're going to figure it out, and you're going to make it make sense for you. But it's not just all reading the books, man. You got to get your hands dirty.
Definitely. And I think two things that I would say to add on to that would be to develop some kind of tunnel vision. I noticed the last couple of years that I've really been doing this, there's so many distractions, whether it be certain relationships that you have with people, certain friendships, blah, blah, blah. You have to kind of guard your focus in certain aspects, and that should be super important to you. There's certain people who, like, not like cut off per se, but I've had to keep them at a distance because I realized, like, I can only give so much time and effort into certain things, right? So if your business is important to you, if this is something that you want to do for the rest of your life, just like you're saying, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the time, but you also have to keep that focus. You can't help everybody. And I'm not saying, you know, like, I'm not glorifying the 24-hour grind. You know what I mean? I'm not glorifying, oh, my circle is so small, blah, blah, blah. But you definitely need to find handful of people that got your back, and then, like you're saying, just put your nose to the grindstone and get to work.
And I do want to touch up on the entrepreneur part, because it is important what you said of, like, having that tunnel vision. Entrepreneurship is not easy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, when you're on your own, like, I'm the person that's talking to new leads. I'm the person sending emails. I'm the person recording videos. I'm the person programming. I'm the person doing everything.
Right.
And we wear so many hats that, like, when I went to my old job, the first thing that I told them was, I don't give a fuck what title you give me because I've already done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just haven't officially been labeled marketing director and all this shit like that. Like, when you work for yourself, these titles don't exist. You can create them if you want to, but, like, I'm my own marketing team. I'm my own accountant. I'm my own X, Y, and Z. Like, so there's a lot that does come with this life, but it is gratifying for you if you structure it in a way that can make sense for your lifestyle. But the part that I want to bring up is that tunnel vision is important, because if you know what you want, at the end of the day, you have to consistently be at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it
Yeah.
sounds so cliche, like we say it all the time, but consistency is what ultimately builds the business. And you're going to learn a lot of things to do. You're going to learn a lot of things not to do. And you got to be you have to really pay attention to these spots in your journey, because when you do get to that point to where you're about to pop, you've already conditioned yourself, and you learn the do's, you learn the don'ts, you learn what works for you, you learn what doesn't work for you, just from putting the time in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that shit is so important. You have to give yourself the time to grow in it. Entrepreneurship doesn't happen overnight, and it's not all glorified like people think it is. Like, you learn a lot about life when you take on this type of role. Some people fall into it like I did. Some people make a risk to try it and jump out. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, consistency, hard work, focus, and be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be. And it sounds cliche, but I'm telling you, like, it has to happen. You have to be on the floor. You have to have tunnel vision, and you have to protect what's around you. Like, and the thing that's sad too, everybody's not gonna get it when you first start this shit. And that's the thing that you think your family's gonna get it, you think your close friends might get it, like, you think they'll support right off the bat. Nope. And honestly, it's usually the stranger that goes before that even happens. Like, you usually have to make people a believer to oh wow, look what you did. You know what I mean? Like, that's a part of the process, to where the people that you think might be right there for you, they just don't understand it. And to be fair, it's not for everybody to understand. So I like, you're a little bitter about it in the beginning, but over time you just start to look at it like, it's not for everybody to understand. This is my vision.
Right.
Now I just have to act it out, and you'll see it. It'll make sense after a while. And that's what starts to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I use this phrase a lot. For me, I always try to be a doer. I hate when people are sayers, right? They'll just talk. Oh, this is such a great idea, blah, blah, blah. I think the one thing that really has set me apart and kind of helped me expand the business and expand the social media presence is I look at what successful people are doing, and then not like copycat, but like make it my own, and then do that, right? So like you're saying, consistency is key. I see people that have such amazing content or such amazing brands, and it's like they're not posting, and it's like, how do you expect people to feel like they can talk to and relate to you if you're not giving them that access?
Yeah.
So that's something I've been trying to do, making myself available, or as available as I can, while also, like I said, like guarding my energy, my focus, blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, man, this was a great conversation. I truly appreciate you sharing all your expertise, your time, your experience. You're a wealth of knowledge. I definitely want to do this again. So
for sure, man. I appreciate you inviting me, man. I love sitting down and talking with you. So it was good to actually get this on camera.
For sure. All right. Well, before I go, is there any questions you had for me or anything?
We covered a lot today, man. I'm not gonna hold you up anymore.
Yeah. It's funny. My boy's supposed to come over, supposed to play some video games, and I told him, I was like, all right, yo, like, I got you. Like, let's aim for like 8:30. Gives you and me like an hour and a half. And then I texted him, I'm like, yeah, I think it's gonna go over. Let's aim for 8:45.
Well, you did say this is gonna be the longest one, and then I think you were right about that.
Yeah. But this was cool. Yeah, I love doing this.
Good, man. This is a good conversation. Yeah, we're gonna set it up again. You know, I'm working on a podcast, so I'll be reaching out to you about that as well. So So that'll be dope, man.
Sounds good. All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna save and download this video, blah blah blah, and I'll be sure to tag you and everything.
Oh, man.
Everybody, follow my boy Building Beasts. Buy his shirts, buy his hoodies, and support his coaching and his training.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one, Alex.
Sure. All right. I'll see you.